and welcome to episode 77 of Your Queer Story, your first holiday season out. My name is Samantha Taylor, and I have to go do my hair now. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Samantha.
That might have been the most put together intro we've ever had.
That's right. It's the only put together intro you'll ever get.
In the entire queer story of listening to this podcast. Just throw that in there.
That's right.
It's called branding.
Look at you, branding on our podcast where people are already listening to us.
Yes, absolutely. Keep that right fresh in their mind.
Queer story. Always know your queer story. We haven't said that lately. I mean, we say your queer story, but we don't talk about your queer story.
Right.
So, anyways. So, this is Evan.
And this is, of course, Paul. And you're listening to the podcast that inspires peace, love, and radicalism. And I love to watch your eyes roll every time I say it. That's the reason I keep doing it.
They will always roll whenever you say it. But whatever. I've given up. I've given into it. We are here, and it is the week before Thanksgiving, or actually when this drops, it is
the day before.
The day before.
Wow, look at that.
I know.
That's cute.
That is cute. So some of you are on your way traveling home today or tonight, or you're getting ready to leave early tomorrow morning to go see family.
Good luck at the airports, because that's horrible.
That's a shit show. Maybe if you're smart, you're already there. Or maybe you put us off and you're listening to us on your way back.
How dare you?
Rude. But hopefully you're not dreading it. And if you are dreading it, that's why we're here today. But how's your week been?
My week has been fun. Just celebrated David's 29th birthday.
Wow.
Had a lot of fun. Had a great dinner. He hates surprises. So I bought presents for him, and he obviously knew I had presents for him. Mm-hmm. And I told him I hid them in his drag room. Like I was like, he's not going to go in there. You know, he doesn't have a show, so he's not going to go in there. He's definitely not going to go in there to put away all the drag that's scattered around the house either. No. But so yeah, I hid the presents in there, and I told him they were at the office. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, why would you leave my presents at the office? Somebody's going to steal them, and then I'm not going to have any presents. And I was like, don't worry, there's cameras. You don't have to worry about it. And then I ordered 2 more things off Amazon, and we share an Amazon account, so I actually hid the order. I went in and
you can do that?
Yeah, you can archive it and everything. But this motherfucker has the Amazon app on his phone, so as soon as they were delivered, it's like, this just arrived at your house. He sends me a screenshot, and I'm just like, I've never seen that before in my life.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know why that's at our house. I have nothing to do with that. So then, of course, he gets home. Where are my presents? Where are my presents? Where are my presents? So then I had to give him his presents 2 days early.
Wow. See, Samantha won't let me give her anything early. I'm the opposite. I want to give her stuff early, and she's like, no. And it's so annoying to me because if I have 3, 4, and actually usually it's 6 or 7 presents for her birthday, I'm like, just have one early. And she's like, no.
When I get somebody a present, I'm like, I want to give this to them right now.
Exactly, right? And Samantha, no, makes me.
You know what else I did?
What?
I was a jerk at the store. I was actually an asshole at the store. Not to somebody, but I walked into the store. And they didn't have any basket. This is a grocery store. They didn't have any baskets up front, and I didn't want a cart because I was just grabbing a couple things. And I'm on the phone with my mom, not thinking anything of it because I just run in. I don't need help. I know exactly where everything's at.
Yeah.
And then I went and I was going to grab a rotisserie chicken. Uh-huh. So I pick it up with one hand, and I pick it up. The thing opens up, the rotisserie chicken, and all the juice go flying. Chicken just slides across the floor. The juice almost covers this woman. And I was just like, hey Mom, I'm gonna get off the phone right now. I look like a total asshole right now.
Wow. Did you buy the chicken?
Hell no. I grabbed that's their fault. Okay. Are you kidding me? Clearly they didn't seal it right. No, I grabbed another one and I ran. And I went to self-checkout so I didn't have to talk to anybody.
Nice. You're one of those customers. Actually, I don't mind when people make a mess. I prefer if they let me know, but I hate this is the rudest thing you can fucking do. And fuck you if you do this. When people pull ice cream out of the freezer.
And then hide it behind something.
Exactly. And then they decide they don't want it. Ice cream, it's one thing if you picked up a bag of chips and you decided you didn't want it and you leave it in the store. But you do ice cream that
or milk or bacon or
anything
eggs.
That. Anything that's cold and you set it on the floor so now it can rot. And so not only does it stink for everyone else, not only do I have to pay for it, but you're just an asshole. It's dripping half the time. It's dripping over other stuff. You've now ruined other product. What the fuck? Come on, don't tell me. I don't care if you're that lazy. You shouldn't be in a store. Okay, hire a personal shopper.
Yeah, that's a real asshole thing. The amount of times I found like a whole thing of ice cream just stuffed behind the chips or stuffed behind like anything.
Yeah,
you know, feminine products.
Wherever they are, they're just like, let me take this frozen product and set it down and let it ruin everything else. Hate that shit.
So how was your week?
My week was good. I'm very busy. I celebrated 4 years sober.
Congratulations.
And then, Friendsgivings, family coming over to our house for the first time tomorrow when this episode drops. For Thanksgiving, it's the first time that we're hosting it. So
yep, and we're having Friendsgiving tonight.
Yes, we're having Friendsgiving, so that's going to be nice. So I'm going to be really busy this week, but I don't mind it. It's like this, it's this time of year where you're really busy, but, it's still fun. But,
it's a lot.
Oh, and I'm doing this shameless plug. We went to go see the early access to the show Knives Out, and it was fantastic. It's got Daniel Craig, Jamie Lee Curtis, Chris Evans.
I'm just nodding my head like I know who any of those people are.
He has no idea who these people are, but I'm going to tell you, if you love murder mysteries, it was fantastic.
Was it based on something real or was it totally fiction?
It was fiction. I don't know if it's based on a book or not. It might be based on a book, but no, it's fiction, but it's very good. Anyways, so that was it. I love a good murder mystery, but it's hard to get a good one,
Oh, yeah. Some of them are so crappy, or some of them they just give it away like right at the beginning.
Right,
with like some foreshadowing, but like it's not even foreshadowing. It's literally just telling you who the killer is or whatever.
Or when you've already solved it, like because it's so obvious and you're like, yep. I mean, if you listen to if you do read, I love mysteries. If you read a lot of mysteries, true crime, whatever, and you just know.
It's always the husband or wife. Always,
right? And I can't stand when I can solve something in the first 2 minutes. I'm just like, now I bought this and I've got to listen to it all the way through, and I know what happens. So yeah. Anyways, but that's it.
That's it. So, very exciting times. Busy, living our lives, and doing stuff.
Yeah. So today it's kind of like it's a looser episode. It is scripted. I don't know if we're going to publish the script though. I just scripted it just because I was writing and it keeps us on track. But we're talking about your first holiday season out. And honestly, it could be your first holiday season out, or it could be your first holiday season that your family acknowledges that you're out.
Right.
That's also a thing.
That's unfortunately a thing.
Yeah. My first holiday season, my family completely ignored that I was out. And then it was like the next year that shit hit the fan. So, maybe the first time you're bringing a partner home or anything, it's a big deal. Like that first year.
The first time David met my family.
Yeah.
It was Thanksgiving time, and we were staying at my family's house. We flew to Indiana. Yeah. We're like, all right, Mom, we're staying in this room. And he's like nervous, like meeting your family for the first time and staying with them for a whole week.
Exactly. Oh, that's real nerve wracking, especially for David, and especially because you guys have two very different coming out stories.
Oh, 100%. So I'm sure for him, it was probably, I didn't even think about that, probably pretty scary.
Yeah. Yeah, because you knew that your family, was gonna love him.
My family was ready to throw a party, have a good time.
Exactly. But so I'll jump in. So, well, Queershins, the holidays have arrived, and no doubt many of you are listening to this episode on your way to or from Thanksgiving or fall gathering.
Eat some extra food for me.
That's right. And this is just the beginning. The next month is sure to be filled with parties and get-togethers of all kinds, from Friendsgivings and work parties to local festivals and religious celebrations. The end of the year is packed full of fun and sometimes awkward gatherings. And what can make this time period even more chaotic and anxiety-inducing is one's orientation or identity being the year's topic of conversation, which is often the case the first holiday season after a person comes out. This can also be the case the first holiday one brings a new partner home or begins to show their true gender expression. So that's a big thing, because even if you've come out as trans, like the first holiday that you show up wearing in your gender expression and identifying using your pronouns.
Oh, I didn't even think about how much harder that could potentially be then.
Yeah. So it's a lot. That first year, even if you have the most accepting family, is nerve-wracking.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah.
And I just remembered something about when my first holiday that I came out. We were all at my grandma's house for Thanksgiving, and my cousin was talking about something. He just goes, "Oh, that's so gay." And my aunt actually goes, "You can't say that. Paul's right there." And I was just like, I don't care.
It's right.
Like,
everybody's like on eggshells,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
they're like, "What can I say?" Like I said, because if it's a good family, like they're like, "All right, well, what can we say?" And what I remember, Samantha's aunt, like she called me the wrong name, my old name, and she's like, she says it, she goes, "Oh God, Evan, come on, Elaine, it's Evan." She's like saying that to herself, and I
Like
was just
smashing
sitting
her head
there,
into the table.
like it's okay, it's fine. Which was really sweet because she's trying to correct herself for me, but it's like a lot of moments like that where you get misgendered, or someone says something, or like you're sitting with your partner and they're too enthusiastic, like, "Why don't you guys can hold hands and kiss in front of us, we don't care," and you're like, "Well, we're just sitting here.
We're not trying to make out at the dinner table, Suzanne."
Exactly, So, or you're on the other end, you're like scared to death to touch your partner because you don't know if
And you have
it's going to
to
erupt.
sleep in different
Separate
rooms.
rooms, yes.
And, yeah.
Yes, you have to sleep in separate rooms. This is always fun.
So as always, we are here to help you. So today we will discuss some of the various encounters you may have and tips on how to navigate them. And we'll start with perhaps the easiest, which is a work party. Fuck that.
Work parties. Love them. Oh, God. So first, no matter what anyone says, if you're not getting paid, you don't have to be there.
That's
so
facts are facts.
That is facts. So your boss saying if you're not there, you're going to be fired legally. They can't do that. I don't think they would, but I understand the pressure. I'm not saying I don't understand the pressure of a boss threatening you, but again, legally, if they're not paying you and you're not on the clock, the boss can't make you work off the clock. Now, if they want to pay you for the work party, maybe that'll make it a little better.
Hell yeah.
Right? Now, we're not encouraging anyone to miss their holiday work function. Actually, work parties are one of the best ways to build relations with coworkers and help you succeed in the future. Connections in business are never a bad thing, so you don't want to miss out on creating or reinforcing them if it's not necessary. Plus, even though it's a party, there is still a level of professionalism expected, which means the chances of harassment or worse is usually minimal in these environments.
Now, I will say that with work parties, I have a problem because anybody who knows me knows that after I've had a couple drinks, I am just silly.
Yep.
I mean, I'm already silly. So, like, imagine all inhibitions gone, and I'm just silly, laughing, telling jokes, being as goofy as I can be. I had 2 beers at the last year. We had a Christmas party and I had our holiday party, and I had 2 beers, and I was like, I have to leave right now because I like
you can feel it coming.
Yeah, and then on the way out, like my female coworker who's not with the company anymore, I like hugged her on the way out. I'm like, bye. It was so nice. I mean, she didn't mind, but in my mind, I'm like the CEO of the company's right there. Like, gotta keep it calm, Paul.
Yeah,
just can't do it.
I've actually never been to a holiday party while I was drinking. That's
good for you.
I know. That's what I was
You would
thinking.
not
I
have a
was
job.
so grateful because I was like, either I ditched the party altogether or we didn't have one. Because like every year, there's always someone that gets a little too drunk, and it's fine.
You wouldn't have been a little too drunk.
I know I wouldn't. I would if it's tripping on the pool table or something. So I am always really grateful that I never was drinking. But yeah, that's something, But but for the most part, people are very aware. If you're not an alcoholic like me, people are aware. They keep their drinks down to minimum. You're not. This is, again, despite all the movies out there of holiday parties that get crazy.
They don't really get
They
that
don't.
crazy.
It's boring. It's mundane. You go there, you laugh. If you have good coworkers, maybe you have a good time. But it's no one's getting weird or inappropriate.
Right.
And that helps, though. That helps if you're like already nervous about being out.
It's nice. Well, I can't say it's nice for everybody because different companies are going to have different cultures. You know, if you were having like a warehouse party, it's probably going to
that's
be,
gonna be a lot
so it really
different,
depends on who you're with. But it is, I would say in general, an easier party to celebrate.
Yeah, than many of you.
Yeah, than family and that.
Yes.
So, however, there's no guarantees, and you know your workplace best. So, if you truly feel that the party would be too overwhelming or possibly hazardous, then speak with your boss. If your boss is an understanding person, then they most likely won't fight you. And hopefully this will raise their concerns over why you wouldn't feel safe in your own work environment. Perhaps the two of you could even try to find some ways to make the company a more accepting workplace. But if your boss is not understanding, then make up an excuse. Some ideas are a family gathering, grandmother's last Christmas,
Always
Exciting.
solid.
It's always solid. I had an employee whose grandmother was on her last Christmas like 5 years in a row.
Right, every year.
Religious observance, or the classic sick excuse. Best sick excuse, by the way, is diarrhea. Like you really
Nobody
can't.
wants that.
You really can't fight that. Like if somebody's like, "Listen, I haven't left the toilet," they're like, "Don't come near me." And if your boss is one of your main tormentors, then it's probably best not to come back at all. Find a new job. Feel free to reach out to us, and we can try to put you in contact with a local organization that finds jobs for queer people.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're having that much anxiety about your work party, then there's something going on. Like there's someone, it could be your boss, it's someone else you're working with, and you shouldn't be in that position.
No,
like,
you should feel totally comfortable at work.
Well, I don't know, totally, but you should at least feel comfortable enough to go to your work party, you know.
I think you should always feel comfortable at work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I guess, yeah, maybe we're just thinking of comfort in different ways. But you definitely shouldn't feel like you're harassed or walking on eggshells.
Right.
You know.
I think you should always feel like you can be yourself. Obviously professional and respectful, but like you shouldn't ever feel like, I don't know if I can act how I act.
Yeah. Yeah. If they
sense.
find out, like, if they find out this, what if I want to wear these clothes?
Right. You should never feel that.
Yeah. So, yeah, like we said, I mean, honestly, I know it's hard and it's a lot easier to say get a new job than it is to actually get a new job. But, you know, feel free to reach out. We can see if we can help you. There are a lot of organizations that help queer people find jobs. And you want to make sure you're in a place where, like Paul said, you can be your true self. You're not going to be giving your best work if you're constantly afraid.
Right, because then you have to constantly
happen.
rethink what you're going to do. How am I going to complete that project? Because if I do it this way, then they're going to know. Or if I do it this way, you know?
Exactly. But if you're excited about the party and just nervous about what people will think, then let's move on. First, grab that work friend. Whether you have formally come out or the word has spread or you simply intend to show up as you are, it is best to have a friend or two by your side. Hopefully there's a close work friend you can rely on to have your back. Confide in them about your hesitations so they can be aware if you're uncomfortable or distant. This is really big. Like, let them know, you know. Everybody's got a good work friend you could talk to and say, I'm just nervous because I know Joe and I think he's going to say something if I bring my boyfriend, or, you know, is Susan going to make fun of the dress that I wear? Like something like that. Make a mental note of who to avoid. We usually do this subconsciously, but it's always helpful to know who could be a problem. Again, confide this fear in your friends so they can help you avoid a bad situation. You don't have to do this alone, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Find somebody. There's always going to be somebody who will be by your side.
Sympathetic and just be like, and just say, hey, because a lot of times, you know, straight cisgender people don't think of these things, you know, and they want to be there and they want to be supportive, but they just need you to remind them that, oh, here's what I'm worried about and here's what someone said, and they don't know everything. You know, someone might say something to you in passing that other people didn't hear, and you know that they were being derogatory towards you.
Right.
So you let your friend know so your friend can have your back.
Right. Don't be ashamed. Even if you're nervous as hell, walk in there with your head high like nothing is different. I can tell you that as long as you exude confidence, it does not matter what you do, does not matter anything. Like, if you exude confidence, people will buy it.
Yeah.
That's how I made my whole life.
Yep. I have a friend, she was a firefighter for 20 years before she started her transition, and she was still a firefighter during her first couple of years of transition, and her advice is always walk in like you own the joint.
Absolutely. Hold your head high, exude confidence, and nothing else matters because everybody will buy it. They'll be, all right, cool.
Yeah,
that's how it's going to happen. Own those heels or that press suit, and pretend you don't see a single stare. Introduce your partner like everyone else is doing. You're not in the wrong, and there's nothing to feel ashamed about. You owe no one an explanation. This is true for any and every event, but especially work. It's none of your coworkers' business what you wear, who you love, or how you identify. You can be as open or as closed as you like. But if you fear questions that are too personal, then be prepared on how to avoid them. Suggestions are to keep the conversation short, stick to a few relevant and easy topics like sports, art, TV, the weather, and keep moving. If you aren't comfortable at the party, then don't linger in one area where people may get too comfortable with your presence.
Yeah, and I just mean if you stand around a place with the people that you're worried about, you know, and they're drinking over time, some people could ask you questions and things that you don't want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
because they, when they're sober, they might make a mental note like, oh, I probably shouldn't say that. But after a few drinks, they're not going to give a fuck.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're standing there with that group and you've latched on and now the stuff happens.
Yep.
Watch your alcohol. You may be tempted to drink to soothe your nerves, and a drink or two will help, but don't get wasted. Not only is this unprofessional, but this leaves you open to perhaps answering questions you wouldn't normally answer. Now, maybe you won't mind in the moment, but will you mind the next day?
I guess I shouldn't have told Susan how many cocks I've sucked.
And this isn't to say you should be rigid and boring or constantly afraid of being a fool. Everyone has had at least one work party where they had an embarrassing moment or two. But we simply mean you want to be mindful of your image in the office or on the job after the evening is over. And that brings us to our next point. Be careful about your date.
If this is your first holiday out, then don't grab the first person you can in order to make a point. Please. Remember that you will still have to work at this place, and a sloppy date isn't good for anybody. Ever. No. Whether you're queer or straight, this is practical advice that will save a person from having to smooth things over with their boss or coworkers
right,
later
people
on.
do this all the time because they're like, I don't want to show up to the holiday party alone.
There has been, one of David's cousins has had like a different person with them every year, which is fine, if you're dating. But like maybe if you've been together 3 weeks, maybe they don't come to Christmas. I mean, I don't care, but like I'm just thinking like, I don't know.
No, I know. Trust me, I know. Because first of all, I've been the person that just brought whatever random girl I was with, and it was a mess. On
top of that, they always do the Secret Santa because they're like, I want to get him with the family. And then they don't know anybody in the family and they always get me.
It's awkward.
And then I'm like, they're like, here's an Express gift card for $20. And I'm like, great. Because I always shop at Express and $20 is going to buy me a single sock at Express.
That's awful. Deanna, I know you're listening. I love my sister Deanna. I give her such shit for this because she was dating this guy one year, which... She's dated most of the guys she dated are good guys, are fine. But the 1 year she was dating this guy, and they hadn't been dating that long. I mean, I don't know, maybe a few months at most. And she brought him to Thanksgiving, and that was a sloppy date.
Was he like drunk on the table?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, he didn't drink.
No, he didn't drink. No, he was just very handsy, and he was just weird and. It was like that thing. Like she didn't want to show up to Thanksgiving alone.
Yeah.
And she's trying to like give the middle finger to my family, which I applaud her for that. But she showed up with that, and I'm not judging because, like I said, I've done it. I brought whatever
I've seen
person.
some of the people
You've
in your past.
Yes, you have. Like whatever crazy.
Not that my past was any better, but.
Yeah, but but especially for work. And, it's okay if you do, honestly, if you do that with family, then what? Like, they tease you about it and whatever.
Yeah, they tease you, you learn, you move on.
Fine, but you do that at work, now you have a problem. Right. And that's an image, like, and it's like I said, especially if it's your first year out and like you brought Randy, the messy queen, and now, he's dancing all over the floor, stripping halfway
throwing
through.
Up.
Exactly, throwing up, hitting on your boss. Maybe that's not the best idea.
Right. Yeah.
So
don't leave your partner at home if you don't have to, please. That would be horrible. If you have come out, then give your partner the respect of being held to the same level as every other partner and spouse at that party. And in addition, give your coworkers the benefit of the doubt. Trust them to show you they can accept your partner the same way they accepted you. It may be hard the first few moments. Someone is bound to ask a stupid question like, who's the girl? Or who's the guy? But you
is this your brother?
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God, is that your roommate? But you may be incredibly surprised at how positively your boss and coworkers react.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, like, they'll be married for years and they don't come out at work, and then one day they do, and they're like, this is my husband of 15 years, and your partner's been with you. You don't need to be ashamed of them.
Right.
Bring them, like, show them off just like everybody else is showing, like, whatever. Cheryl's showing off her boyfriend of 2 months. I think you can show off your partner of 15 years.
Seriously.
Now let's move on to another awkward setting for many queer people, religious ceremonies. Of course, there are many queer people of faith, but the holidays often require us to attend sanctuaries from our childhood or ones for which we are not familiar. It can be especially hard and even triggering to return to a place of faith that once held negative memories. And if you're returning for the first time since coming out, the anxiety intensifies. As we will state in every instance, you don't have to go. If you're not ready to return, then tell your family member or friend who invited you. In some cases, they won't care or understand. For some families, going to church is a so-called requirement during the holiday season, and this puts many queer people in a tough position.
Yeah, so I have never had any experience with religious ceremonies except for one time when David's nephew got baptized. David was like in the baptism or something, right? That's what it's called.
He was like part of the ceremony?
I don't know. I don't know if he was part of we were there, and I was really scared walking in the church. I was like, I've never walked in a church before. What's going to happen? I was like, am I going to get like abducted? Is the place going to burn down? I didn't know what to expect. It's pretty boring.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful place, but yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, I've had many instances of going back. My first couple holidays out, it wasn't a big deal because, it was the church.
You were in Europe.
That's right. I was in Europe. So my family was fine ignoring and hiding me. But the first time that I went back with Samantha, I went and we didn't even go to my church in my youth. But we went to my parents' church that they were currently attending. And it was really annoying. I mean, the service wasn't even that bad. It was just my mom going around and being like, and this is my child, and this is their friend Samantha. And I'm just saying that because obviously she wasn't using right pronouns, and someone's introducing Samantha as my friend now. Literally, I want to punch them in the face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's so.
Oh yeah.
It's so insulting. And
is.
people act like it's a good compromise. How the fuck is that a good compromise?
That's
am
a horrible
married to this
compromise.
woman. We have built a life together. We fuck off with this is my friend.
No, seriously. Is it me?
Yes.
Our strongest suggestion is to be safe. And sadly, sometimes this means going back into the closet, which is always more devastating than any outsider realizes.
I hate saying that. I just mean if you are going home for the holidays and you're going to, there are churches there are stories of churches where people have taken queer people outside and beat them in America in the last few years.
Killed them.
This is not something that happened 50 years ago. This is something that you can find news stories within the last few years of churches dragging people out and beating them. So, which you probably shouldn't be going home at all if that's the situation. But there, in many cases, the queer person thought they were safe,
Right.
and that's always
Yep.
you think you're safe, you think you're okay, and then all of a sudden you get ambushed. So that is the only time where I would say, yeah, get the fuck back in
If
that
you
closet.
feel like your life is in danger or you're are gonna get hurt, you gotta be safe.
You got to be safe.
So if you're an ally listening, then please do not ask this of your loved one. It is mentally and emotionally excruciating. But if you are a transgender or non-binary person being forced to hide your identity, or if you are a gay person who can't bring their partner into church with them, or if you are bisexual or pansexual and your orientation is repeatedly ignored and invalidated, just know we care and we know you are hurting. These closet doors aren't permanent and they don't hide you the way they used to.
Now, if you're going to worship as you are, hopefully it's a friendly environment. So, my suggestions. Take what you can from the ceremony. Perhaps you don't believe in the teachings anymore, but rituals and experiences can be nostalgic, especially at this time of year. You don't have to feel that you're losing yourself again simply because you found a new way to reappreciate the past. Or you can find an excuse to slip out. Have something ready. Tell your parents or friends you're expecting a phone call or you don't feel well. Ask to sit near the back, and if the service becomes too much, then quickly duck out. Maybe even have an Uber or a Lyft prepared if possible. That's a big thing. When you walk in, try to sit near the back. Now, you know the situation and you know how comfortable you are. This is just, if you're nervous about it, these are some tips. You don't want to get stuck sitting in the front of the church. That's a lot harder to get out of.
Yeah, because then everybody's going to watch you leave.
Exactly.
Bring candy. Yes, this tried and true method matters. Sugar increases our dopamine levels and gives a little boost to our happiness. If you can't have sugar, then have some other small reward system for yourself. Drawing or coloring is also meditative and something you can focus on instead of the message or reading. So make sure you have a pen and paper on you when you go in. But most importantly, if you can, then stand firm. We don't want to trivialize religious trauma with distractions and candy. These are simply small ways to make the best of a bad situation. But ultimately, we promise you will find the most reward in being true to yourself, in wearing the clothes in which you are most comfortable, and going by the pronouns and name that is yours. Don't give in to the momentary response of denying your identity. Be prepared for people to try to set you up on a date or ignore your partner or throw a barb your way. and have a polite and prepared answer and response. Not because they deserve the respect, but because you deserve the respect. And one last thing, don't expect the worst. Balance being prepared with negative expectations. You'll have a better time overall.
Yeah.
If you go into a situation expecting the worst, everything that happens is automatically going to be negative, even if it's positive. Somebody will say hi to you and be like, wow, knew it. Knew this is what it was going to be like when I came here.
Wow, what a bitch.
And I know that because I've done that so many times, but I'm like, I really don't want to fucking go out tonight. I'm not going to have a good time. And then I go out and like, it just doesn't matter what happens. Something's going to annoy me just because I had prepared myself for that.
Well, that's what our anxiety does. It wrenches it up so that we feel like we're constant, like everything's going to be bad. And it might be. I'm not like, you got to be on your guard. That's what happens when you constantly live on guard. You go in expecting the worst.
You're ready to fight.
Yeah. But if you give yourself a chance, you might find something. I mean, if you're going to be there anyways, that's my whole point. If you don't have to go, then don't fucking go. But if you feel like you have to go or you should go, then do the best you can to make it the best experience possible. But I really stand with like, when, the first few times that I went, and when I say a few times, I mean, I think we've been to my mother's church maybe 3 times. And the first time when she introduced Samantha as my friend, I just grinned and bared. And the next time I went, I would correct her. And then you know what? She stopped introducing me
yeah,
as
because
my
then it's
fucking
just
friend.
like,
Exactly.
then you're like,
Then it's
excuse
awkward.
me, you mean my wife?
Exactly. We were engaged at the time. I said, I'm sorry, this is my fiance, Samantha. Like she did that maybe twice.
Yeah,
and then it was done.
There's more trauma in like being corrected and making a scene rather than just being
like if you want to embarrass, we can play the embarrassment game.
Right.
So and then the third time they didn't ask me to go to church. So that's what it was. So so it's okay. Like that's what happens. When you stand firm, then you end up getting out of those things because it really is. You have to push back. I know that's hard and it's not easy, and we're not always in the right space to do it. But you have at some point we have to push back and stand up.
And it's also hard for people who aren't okay with confrontation. Like Evan and I, we'll go.
Exactly.
If somebody wants to confront us, we will fight. I mean, I know you do, right? You get angry and then you're ready to go. Me, like if somebody's confrontational, I will just go like from 0 to 100, take it to like the next level it doesn't even need to go to.
Yeah.
And I know that's a problem.
Yeah.
But it comes from living on guard for so long.
But I will say that it took me a while to learn. Like when I first came out, I was ridiculously apologetic and just like, I was just like cowering.
I used to be really meek, but I think working in retail just changed that real quick.
I think as I gained my confidence, and then I got too aggressive where I was just being mean and I was doing that thing where I was like, every little thing someone said to me, I was taking it the wrong way and I was attacking them. And now I found a balance where I'm like, look, I know where my boundaries are. And that's a big thing. Do you know what your boundaries
Yes,
are? If you
you
don't
need
know
to
what
figure
your
that out.
boundaries are, you don't have anything to stand on.
Right.
My boundaries are you call me by the right name, you call me by the right pronouns, and you respect my wife. That's it's very simple.
Right.
Other things I can work with those, I can go with the flow, but you call me the wrong name, pronoun, you disrespect my wife, and then we're gonna talk.
Right.
So the final group is friends and family. And this is of course the hardest and best part of the holidays. If you came out earlier this year, no doubt most of those close to you know. But there always seems to be a distant friend or a random aunt that has somehow missed the memo. And as we said before, coming out is a lifelong process.
Oh my God.
If this is your first holiday truly out, then you may not be prepared for how many times you're going to have to come out again. Our best suggestion is to have a short and to-the-point speech to give anyone who asks. Yes, I'm gay. Something that doesn't hide who you are, but doesn't open you up to questions. It also helps to quickly redirect the conversation. None of this needs to be elaborate or educational. Something as simple as, yes, I'm a lesbian. This is my girlfriend, Denise. Are we going to play the game of Family Uno? Or, I really messed that up. Or, actually, my name is Joseph now, and I go by he, him pronouns. I started transitioning this past year, and I'm so happy. Is there any more pie left?
Yeah, really, if you just kind of like give them a lot and then bring in a question, it kind of like they have to process that, but then they also have to answer your other questions. So it really smooths
it breaks it off. I am always surprised at how easily you can redirect people. Like you think that they're not gonna take this bait, but they always do.
Oh yeah, because the thing is, they say, oh yeah, it's over there. Then you get to walk away,
exactly,
and they get to sit there and process that information, and they get to do with it what they want.
Exactly.
But you've come out, and now you're not around that person, and then your next interaction will have already broken that ice.
Exactly, yeah, and you moved on, and now and also they kind of get the hint. Hopefully, they pick up the hint, or if they don't, they really are distracted by whatever you said. Like,
Right.
how are the Jets doing? And they'll go into a whole thing about how the Jets are doing. That's a football team. I know you were
I
just...
was like, it's some kind of sports team. Yep.
He's like, yep. Anyways.
Baseball players.
Yeah. Anyways.
Of course, this suggestion isn't foolproof. It works very well in work and social settings, but the difference in family and close friends is the level of familiarity. I can't read English.
Yeah.
Family will ask questions that no one else would dream of asking. It is up to you to decide what you do and don't want to talk about, and where you want to have the conversations. Our suggestion is to make time for these conversations, especially if you're returning home and don't get to talk to family often. The reality is, you are probably the best person to help them understand who you are and what you need. If your intention is to retain a relatively stable relationship with your family, then it is probably helpful to talk this out. However, if that is not the case, then refer their questions to online resources and drop the conversation. Our recommended resource is Your Queer Story, an LGBT podcast. You can find out more information at yourqueerstory.com. You can even find it on Spotify.
That's right. Anywhere you get your local or anywhere you get your podcast. But yeah, like I mean, honestly, if you're gay, it all goes down to how you're going to have a relationship with these people. If you want to keep a close relationship with your parents, you got to have a conversation with them. But if your great aunt wants to ask you questions, you can be like, Google it. Okay, Gertrude, Google it. Like, you know when to drop the conversation and when, but like some family you have to talk to them. I'm sorry. I know if you're an ally listening, educate yourself. But if you're a queer person listening, you're the best person to know what you need.
And also, the way you interact with your family, I'm not saying you're responsible for the entire queer community, but the way you interact with your family
It's big.
Kind of gives them an idea of what to expect when encountering another person of our community.
Yeah.
So if you go in and you're screaming at your family and causing a huge scene, they're going to be like, okay, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with the LGBT community because that was a lot.
Yeah, and it's not fair. And you can say, well, they shouldn't judge the whole community based on me, but they do, and we all do that,
especially if
right?
you're their only, source of information. If you're the only person that they truly know, then that they're gonna take that. And I'm not saying that you should not confront your family or somebody, if it's a really bad situation, but always keep in mind education over aggression.
Yeah.
And then work on it. And if they don't get it and if they refuse to learn, then just move on.
Yeah, exactly. You always educate first, and then when education doesn't work, then you might have to be more aggressive in saying, like, and laying down the boundaries and the laws and like, this is what I'm going to live with and this is what I'm not. But it always is helpful to try to educate first. And like we said,
give them a couple mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to make, and they don't even mean to. They don't mean to.
They don't. They love
necessarily.
You.
They
don't
might
want
mean
to,
but hopefully they don't
exactly.
mean to.
No, yeah, it's good. I don't know how many times I was misgendered my first Christmas, and this was 10 months after I came out. Like, I actually came out to the family. Actually, no, there was 11 months because I came out to my in-laws on January 1st. And then, 11 months later, we had our first holiday season, and people were still struggling, but they were genuinely trying to do better. And that's what I took.
Especially if you've known someone for so long. They're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah, and we put in there, have a place. So like, if you're going back home for the holidays and you know that this conversation needs to happen, then go ahead and have that set up and tell your parents. Say like, hey, I know you have questions. Can we talk about it on this day? Let's go get breakfast or something. Like, if you set that up, that also is going to stop you from having to answer these questions on the fly. When you're sitting at a group, a table full of people.
And then come out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Maybe you don't want to answer all the questions around all your cousins and everything, but maybe this needs to be a one-on-one or a one-on-two conversation.
Yeah. All right. And hold your boundaries. Unlike the rare instances of the workplace or an occasional visit to a religious institution, your family and friends are more permanent and constant. Any slight ignored today could mean years of battle for recognition ahead. This doesn't mean you have to cause a scene. Just gently correct your loved ones when they use the wrong pronoun or refer to your partner as your friend. Smile and shut down any inappropriate questions and tell them to Google it. Take space. It is very important for them to realize that you are not less than and therefore will not tolerate subpar treatment. Insulting gifts that ignore your gender or expression should be addressed. Abusive language should not be tolerated. And if anyone else is sitting on the couch holding hands with their partner, then there is no reason you shouldn't do the same. Perhaps standing up for yourself will cause a fight, But that is not on you. That is their hang up and their responsibility to find a way to treat you equally.
And yes, you should definitely have some personal time. Even if things are going great, if you're spending your holiday educating people, it's going to drain you. Have time away from family and friends, meet other people somewhere, take the dog for a walk, go to a movie, or find a small cafe or bar. Don't burn yourself out trying to fix everything and please everyone. Remember, this is a lifelong journey. Everything doesn't need to be solved in one Christmas.
Yep.
Some people will be mad that you're out, and they will remain that way until the next holiday season. You cannot make everyone okay with your decision to be honest and live in truth, and that's not why you came out. You came out to live your life authentically, not so your family could understand queer aspects and culture. If your family is supportive, that's great, but that is all the more reason they should be seeking their own education.
Stay someplace safe. This is not always affordable and realistic, we understand. But if there's a cheap motel or a good friend nearby, then you want to be careful staying at your conservative family's home. We don't say this to be alarmist. We say this from years of experience. Your family may seem okay, and you can always cancel the hotel or friend's house if you arrive and things are okay. But many times, even after a person comes out, it takes the family being around them for the truth to sink in. This can turn a happy and festive atmosphere into a chaotic and tense one rather quickly. Often queer people are told they have a safe place to stay only to find themselves on the side of the road Christmas morning. Please do some research before you head home and at least find a good shelter nearby. And I've just talked to so many kids that came out to their family and they're like, oh man, my parents took it really well. Everything's going to be good. And then they go home for their first holiday season and it does not go good. You never know. It could go great. It could go way better than you expected, or it could not. So I just want kids to be
prepared.
People to be
have a
safe
backup plan. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have your phone charged and ready. Text your friends. Stay in contact with your support group. You don't have to be in an uncomfortable situation alone.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you're going to be in danger, like we said, make sure you have, resources pre-saved, or at least know what you need to look up to get that number or shelter, just always be ready. And your phone gives you so many of those opportunities.
Yeah. And your last two suggestions are don't numb it out and congratulate yourself. So again, going back to the whole thing, I know you're tempted to go drink it all away or get high, and not saying that you shouldn't enjoy yourself and unwind, but numbing yourself to this experience is only going to make it harder for you and your family to heal.
Right, because then the next time it's supposed to happen, you haven't dealt with anything.
Exactly.
At all.
Nope, you haven't processed anything. Nothing's been done. So don't numb it out. Try to be as present as possible. And also remember, you came out this year. Congratulations to you.
That's so exciting.
Exactly.
You have no idea what you're in for.
Exactly. 5 years from now, you're going to look back on this holiday season and think, wow, I was so nervous and I didn't know. And look at how far we are. You're going to be sitting around with your family, your friends, your chosen family, and you're going to be celebrating your ass off, your Friendsgiving. And it's going to be so much better. It's like I said, it gets better. So regardless of how this holiday season comes, you did an amazing thing this year and you should be proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
2020 is going to be better, even if Donald Trump wins re-election.
No, he's not going to win, though. He can't win.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that. But I will say 2020 will be better, and it gets better. And as always, we are here for you.
Yes, if you need help, if you've gone home for Christmas or whatever holiday and things are going insane and you just need someone to vent to, feel free to message us.
Yep.
One of us will respond.
Yep.
And we're always here to talk. We might take a day to respond depending on how busy we are, but we will respond.
Yeah.
You can reach us from our Gmail, which is yourqueerstory@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We respond on all platforms.
Yep.
So yeah.
And we do respond pretty timely, and we don't take time off in the holidays for that. So like I said, especially if you need to reach out and talk and vent. We also have, if you are on Facebook, the Your Queer Story support group, which you can ask to join. It's not very active, but we have had people come on there and, just having a community. Someone just died upstairs if you heard a loud thump. But we're there for you. Other people are there for you. And you're going to make it through. And you're going to be so happy that you took this step to come out, to bring your partner home, to wear your clothes, to insist to be seen for who you are. And we're excited for you. So enjoy your holiday.
Stay queer.
Don't get a lobotomy.
We love you, our little allied hookers.
And a little succulent sapphists.
Proud homocrats.
And have yourself a sodomy circus.
Goodbye.
Bye.